Alrighty YouTube, today I'm going to show you how to rebuild a carburetor. This technique, or not technique, but rebuilding carburetors, they're almost all the same. Whether it's that style, that style, that style, you know, they're, as long as they've got a diaphragm, or a metering diaphragm, and they've got a pumping diaphragm, they're all almost the same. Except this one is in an L configuration type of a way. This one, the pump diaphragm's here, metering is down here. On this one, they're both on the bottom. The pump diaphragm's here and the metering diaphragm's here, or vice versa. So they're almost all the same. They're all close enough to the same to where me showing you on this one today, you can figure it out pretty easily on how to do it on any other. Two-stroke or four-stroke carburetors, I've seen these on both 2- and 4-stroke engines. So we will get on our way here. Things you'll need: carburetor cleaner, whether it's Value Craft, Gum Out, Walmart brand, that's Super Tech. It doesn't really matter as long as it's carburetor cleaner, or another one that's pretty much exactly the same is carb and choke cleaner. It's pretty much the same stuff. Works just the same. And you'll need your screwdriver, flathead, and Phillips. I've got both of them here. This is my Leatherman Wave, by the way. And you may need compressed air. I won't be using compressed air today, but you may need it. I'll explain once I get into the carb why you may need compressed air. So we'll start with the top here and unscrew that. Here's your pump diaphragm. Set this off right there. And sometimes you've got to make sure you pull this piece off. Sometimes that, get in here, this piece here, you know, seals that pump diaphragm really well here. But you got to make sure you get that seal off and replace it. Because if you forget about this seal and you go to put on a second seal, you don't see it, you double seal it, you know, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work out for anybody. I'm going to actually tilt this up just a little bit so you guys can see it a little bit better. There you go. Alrighty, so, I keep looking at the camera, sorry. So here's this piece here and all the pieces. You want to carefully discard these pieces off to the side. Pull your primer bulb out. Make sure you do not get any carburetor cleaner on this because it will disintegrate. They almost always disintegrate whether they're brand new or they're old. When they get old like this, some people will replace them. If it's a customer's piece of equipment, I'll replace them. If they're mine, I don't. So I'm going to put that off to the side. Carefully put some pieces here and there. Flip it over here. Now we're going to get to the metering diaphragm. By the way, this is a Zama carburetor. They're made in China. They're okay. If you find a Zama that has both of these adjustment screws. This only has one adjustment screw. The other one's a solid. If you can find them with both adjustment screws, those are just fine. They work great. I've got a few of them myself. So we're going to pull that off. Carefully discard this to the side. The reason why I say carefully discard is because sometimes the kits that come will match up with everything. Sometimes these, the seals, sometimes they're a little off, but most of the time they're right on. We always want to save those. You want to take this screw out now right here, carefully and slowly, just like that. Kind of hold everything down. Empty the contents into your hand. Make sure everything comes out. Now you want to look at this. Switch hands here. There's a spring. There's your arm for your needle, your needle valve. So that needle valve definitely needs to be replaced. So on and so forth. The kits do not come with extra screws, so you've always got to keep those screws off to the side. So we're going to carefully set these down here now. Make sure you don't lose anything, because like I said, sometimes the kits don't match up perfectly, but they're close. Sometimes they match up absolutely perfectly, and sometimes they don't. I've had them both ways. I have them match up more often than not, but it's always a good idea to keep them, you know, yeah, keep them. So, first thing we're going to do is inspect it, look it over, look in all these little small spots in here, in here. You're going to spray out all these with carburetor cleaner. This area down inside here, and every little hole you can possibly fit this into and spray. Do it. Make sure though, this is another thing you have to have for these jobs, safety glasses. Now you might be thinking, when I was younger, I always used to think safety glasses, that's a load of crap. I'm not going to use safety glasses, that's stupid. Well, it's a smart thing to do, especially working with pretty much anything, especially carburetor cleaner, because that stuff will melt your eyeballs. Not literally, but it stings like none other. And if you have any cuts on your hands, carburetor cleaner will find them, and it burns more than rubbing alcohol does on cuts. Anyways, so after you've gotten your safety glasses on, spray out all these little holes, all the little crevices, all of everything. Make sure everything's clean. I had gone ahead and did this before because I'm inside doing this tutorial. You do not want to use carburetor cleaner inside, but there's little jets here and there. There's on this carburetor. There's a little breather here, or a jet. There's a jet here. There's another small opening there. If you know that there's supposed to be fluid going through some of these, and you can't get it through, soak the carburetor in carb cleaner in a enclosed bowl. Not where it's hot, but where it's, cooler. Nowhere above 80 degrees. Because it'll expand and all that fun stuff. But if you keep carburetor cleaner cool and in an enclosed bowl, it will not evaporate. I've got a hair on me. Anyways, so you want to make sure you clean out down inside here. Clean out everything, every little crevice you can think of. And that's it. You want to make sure these flow freely, the in and out. On the part that holds the primer bulb, you want to make sure these go in and out just fine. You want to, I believe this is the out, so you want to spray into these. One will let you through, one won't. I've got a spider on me. Just spray everything out, clean everything out like they should be. If it's a really gummed up carburetor, then there's some other things I'll show you that you need to be replaced. Like this little crevice down inside here. You actually pull that out and replace it. But I only replace those if they're extremely gummed up. This one is not extremely gummed up, so I will not. Next thing you want to do is, I usually use a knife. Some people use, the little picks. Some people use, you know what, just improvise and use whatever you've got. There's a screen on this side. There will be screens somewhere, and you want to pull these out. Just because they look clean does not mean they're clean. Sometimes, you know, you can see, let me sit up here and show you what I mean. Let's see, so this piece right here, the screen, sometimes it will look clean, like you can look at it. And it's, oh yeah, that's clean, I don't need to replace that, and you discard the screen that it comes with, or the kit comes with. But sometimes it's microscopically dirty to where it will not let fuel through. So it's always a good idea to replace these screens. It's not the hardest thing to do. I will discard that now off to the side. And you want to clean out from under that screen. So a lot of people also don't do. Just got to clean out down here under where that screen was, which I already have done. I'm going to inspect it anyways. Yeah, it's clean. That's fine. Some residue right here, but I can't seem to get that up at all. Ah, it's a mosquito going into my ear. There's lots of bugs tonight in the house. So let me readjust this a little bit so you can see. So got our spring and our this and that and our so on and so forth. So now we're gonna want to look at the kit. They usually come in a bag like this. I've already got them. Already got bag contents pulled out. You got your metering diaphragm. Sometimes it will actually come with 2 diaphragms. I love those kits that have the 2 diaphragms because it's like a bonus. I can use that diaphragm later down the road for whatever carburetor. Love it when they come with 2. It's like the same exact price as just one would be, but it's 2. Trying to get everything here. There's the new screen. Now, what we're going to do first is install the screen. Always start with your littlest parts and move up so you don't forget anything. I'm going to improvise again and use the out spout on the carburetor to push that little screen back in. You want to try to make it as even as you possibly can when you push it in. Just like that. It's seated in there. It's not going to go anywhere. Alrighty then. So I'll usually do this side first because there's still small parts on this side. These are the old. This is the new. I will usually replace these arms. The little arm there, as you can see. I will normally replace those. But you've got to look closely at them because sometimes they'll be a little bit different. That's okay if they're just a little bit different. But if they're really different, then sometimes they won't work, and sometimes you need them for them to work. So that will work just fine. That's the old one. This is the new one. Sometimes the arms are set up for that certain diaphragm that it's sent with. Sometimes they're set up with the same diaphragm. Normally this diaphragm, or almost always that diaphragm is exactly the same. If it's off just a little bit, this arm will match it up, this and that, you know. This, that, and the cat. So now there's silver stuff on the rubber, on the very tip of this, on the tip of the needle. You can see that there. It's like silver. Do not wipe that off. That is an agent on that rubber to stop it from sticking down inside here. So it will freely move, and it's almost like a lubricant type of a thing. It's like if you were into Boy Scouts, you know, the what is it called? It's when you do Pinewood Derby races, and you put that silver stuff on the pine or the wheels, I know somebody out there screaming at me. Oh, it's this, it's this. Yeah. Alright, sorry about that. My camera ran out of time. Anyways, like I was saying, if you're big into Scouts and you know the powdered stuff that you'd put on your wheels, it's called graphite. Powdered graphite that would like lube up the wheels or whatever. Although most of the time I would put WD-40. WD-40 or really, really light synthetic oil on the wheels and it would run better. Anyways, so this is the tricky part. Hopefully you can see this. Let me zoom in here. The spring has to sit into this pocket just right. Just like that. And this little bar has to go through here. And then this pin, or this little slot right here on the end, right there, you have to slide that on to the pin and then push that down and then screw it in. I'm probably going to make it look a lot easier than it is because it's usually pretty hard. I've done this a whole lot though, so I know what to expect and what to do. Just gotta have a balance between the two. There you go. Just gotta get that. There's a little, almost like a ball on this arm, and that's what the spring sits around. It's that little ball. Look for the screw here. I change my Leatherman from a knife back into a screwdriver. Screwdriver. Alright. Where did that little screw go? Without the screw, I am screwed. Where does it go? What did it do? There it is. It's another thing. Do not lose any parts. Because losing this one screw, if you don't have another screw just like it, you're going to have to buy a whole new carburetor, including these sides on either side. Yeah, just screws. Anyways, so let me zoom you back out here. There we go. So now that the screw's back in, you're going to want to kind of press on that arm to make sure it pulls that pin up, or the needle. It only has to move it just enough to get a little bit of gas in there. This one moves quite a bit, which is just fine. I've seen it move just a smidge, and I've seen it move a whole lot, like this one. Just depends on model of the carburetor and the parts. So next thing we're going to do, going to put the diaphragm on. You put the gasket down first. Depending on your model, I've seen them diaphragm down first, then gasket, but this one's gasket down first, then diaphragm. And here's a way to really, this is another reason why you keep the old parts. Got the old parts off right now. Right there. As you can see all the diaphragm there, and you can't see all the diaphragm here because you can see the seal. So that means the gasket went down first and then the diaphragm. That's why you keep the old parts. Okay, then we're going to carefully take this and line it up on here as best as we can. You kind of move it around. And you put one screw in softly and carefully. Put the other one in. Thing is though, is if you just press it in and you pinch that diaphragm at all, it makes it, you know, be all weird, and it takes a weird shape and it doesn't work. So we're going to screw it down just a little bit on either one. Wiggle it around again. And kind of press down while you're wiggling this time. And sometimes there will be a happy place where it likes to sit. Like it, move it around and then it'll find this one certain spot where it really feels like it should be sitting. That's where I usually stop. Sometimes it doesn't at all. Sometimes it does. That's what I did with this. So we're going to go ahead and tighten those down. Not too tight, but tight enough to where it's snug to where the gas won't come out. Too tight, you're going to strip those the screws right out. So this, we're on this side now. We've already done the screen. Don't need to do anything else. We just need to put the diaphragm in. And let's see, I'm trying to remember. So if you look at both sides, because this sits on top, this piece has little tiny grooves in it, as you can see there. This side is smooth. The smooth side takes the diaphragm, which matches up a certain way. Wait for that. And then this side takes the gasket. Once again, that's why you save the old parts. I'm not looking at them, but see, this side of the gasket has those grooves on it that this has. That has. So you put that down first. And you put this down second. Whoa. This down second. I'll explain how these go bad in just a second. Now when you put this back on, you're going to hold it this way and set the carburetor on it. But while you're setting the carburetor on it, this one has a throttle on both sides. But you want to hold the throttle wide open. Not back far enough to where it closes again, but wide open. Reason being, here, I'll put it on and then I'll tell you. There we go. You can close it. Reason being is there's your idling screw right here. If you don't hold that throttle back a little bit, it kind of messes with you. So you can go ahead and let go of that carefully and slowly. And then you put your primer bulb on. This goes on one way or the other. Just like that. You put your screw down carefully so you don't pinch anything. Put your other screw down carefully so you don't pinch anything. Ah! Sometimes that happens. If somebody wants to make a remix of me screaming like that, go ahead. That sounded really funny. Tells you how tired I am. It's almost 1 now. I've been watching TV shows and stuff. I kind of got frustrated because my camera ran out of time, and I decided not to redo the video, which is just fine. It's not going to change anything, so I have to hold that throttle open again, just a little bit. You don't have to hold it wide open, but enough to where, oops, got it sitting the wrong way. I'm unscrewing the screw because it's hanging up on that screw. Ah. Hopefully you guys can see this. So that's sitting all pretty. Screw it down just a little bit on either side. Almost being tight, but not yet. You know, like 4 or 5 more turns and it starts getting tight. You want to make sure everything's sitting in there right. Make sure you hold that throttle open. And then, same thing, kind of wiggle it back and forth. Sometimes there's a happy medium, sometimes there's not at all. Once again, this one has a happy medium, so you go ahead and screw that down while holding that throttle open so it doesn't mess around with it. Oh, and I forgot to explain how the I can still explain. So how these go bad, let me zoom in again. Alright, so how these things go bad, as you can see, there's a little indent on this. There shouldn't be an indent. Now, most people will buy a new kit and go, wait, there's no indent. It's not going to do what it's supposed to do. Well, it doesn't need an indent. The indent's really not supposed to be there. It just gets stretched out over time. And these little flaps here and here, they're one-way valves. And when they get old, they start bending upwards. Yeah, hopefully you can see that. Can you see that one right here? You can see pretty well how it's bent up just a smidge. They start bending away from the metal. It's supposed to say like it's here, and they start bending away from it, so it's not sealing anymore. It's just kind of half open. Sometimes it'll still run, but not the way it's supposed to. So that is how you rebuild a 2-stroke carburetor, or 4-stroke, just depends on what you have. This one's a Zama. This one's off a Mosquito scooter, which you cannot find anything for these. I looked a lot. Really can't find squat for these carburetors. I found a few things online, but they were asking way too much. I just bought a new, different carburetor. And the other carburetor, which is propping up this right there. These range from a few different brand names. Oop. This one's currently a Chinese brand name, and they're just as good as the Zama ones, or there's a few different brand names that they go under. And this one's actually in working condition. I just have it as an extra for my scooter, which today, while I was riding my scooter, my scooter decided to eat up the carburetor, so I've got to throw that carb on there, and it'll be all fine and dandy. So I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. Hopefully it wasn't too confusing with me working from the top of the screen. I'm trying to think. If you guys could give me, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs down on my video. Just give me a comment. Go down there, comment, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever you guys want to give me. Doesn't matter to me as long as it's a rating. Just rate my video. So rate my video. I said rate really slowly because sometimes it sounds like I'm saying rape. Yep. So see y'all later. Hope you have a good one. See you later, YouTube. Bye.